morning. Welcome back to Mighty Little Green Machine. It is a brisk morning. It is 27 degrees and I have a side job to go mow or brush cut 6 acres. So if you've been watching my videos, you know I sold my brush cutter and I haven't bought another one yet. So I have a friend that was nice enough to let me borrow this one. I had to give it a little love before I can use it, but that's what I'm doing now. It's a 60 inch, which may be too much for the 2025R. I don't know yet. I think I'm gonna be okay because it's not a heavy material I'm cutting and it's a pretty flat area that I'm doing. So I think it'll work. When I get the turbo at some point, it'll have no problem running a 60. So that's my game plan, is to buy a 60 for it. But I decided to try this one today. We'll see what happens. I went and picked it up yesterday. I tried it. It was nice and smooth. The blades come on. It's no vibrations, no nothing. Okay. But it's like I said, I had to give it a little love. So I'm gonna put some fuel in the tractor and we'll get going. Take an extra 5 gallons. This thing chews up fuel when I'm brushing it. So, oh, I love this Igor fuel tank. What I did was I treated the whole 50 gallons with anti-gel and fuel treatment so that I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so this is the first property I have to do. This is the bigger one. Goes way back over there. Comes over here, out around the back of this house and down. It's fairly flat and it's not really thick. I think the 60 inch is going to do just fine. There's some clumpity hills and stuff. We'll see what happens as we get in there. But it's about 9 o'clock. I'll keep track of how long it takes because I quoted 8 hours to do this job. So I'm going to get unloaded and start mowing. Okay, so that's what I've got done so far, actually. I've got a lot of it done. And I wanted to show you how thick this stuff is and then talk about a couple of quick things. And you'll be seeing this probably at the beginning of the video, but first I want to talk about what happens when you're brush hogging, rotary cutting, whatever you want to call it. You can see that the air intake on the front of the tractor is completely plugged up. So if you've never done this before, you really want to keep an eye on your temperature gauge. Now, it's 37 degrees today, so I'm not having a problem. But during the summer when it's hot, there is no airflow into that engine anymore. Then the other thing I want to talk about is what size brush hog. So I did a bunch of reading online, trying to get my shadow out of here. And it seems that the general consensus was never go bigger than a 48-inch brush cutter on a 1025 or 2025, and I would assume that's the same for a 25-horse Kubota or other tractor, because there's not enough PTO horsepower is what I was reading to be able to run it, especially on hills and in thick material. Now, I have not run a 48 on this tractor. I've run a 41, which I sold, and now this 60. And I'm going to tell you that I have not run into anything today that has even caused this thing really to die down. There is a slope, so I'm going uphill. This stuff is super thick, and it's running just great. Now, I do, as I've said before, plan to put the turbo on this in the future to get even more PTO horsepower, but I don't think I'd be afraid to run a 60 on one of these, even without a turbo. I've done quite a bit already. I mean, yeah, there's been a couple of spots where it's bogged down a little just because of it's gotten into some stuff, but this thing is mowing just beautiful. And it's just going along, chugging right along, no problem. The tractor doesn't even know it's back there. Well, it knows it's back there, but I mean, it really doesn't bog down. Matter of fact, I think my 41 bogged down more than this 60 has been, which could be mower design, mower style, whatever. I don't know. But I'm certainly super impressed with how the tractor's handling this. And obviously it goes a lot faster because I'm almost 20 inches wider with the 60 than I was with my 41. So when I buy one, I'm definitely going to buy a 60, even if I don't have the turbo yet. It really speeds the process up. This thing seems to do just fine. Now, that being said, I have not put it, yet into any, smaller trees or anything. But I think I've got a spot out in my woods at home that I can try that. So I think I'm going to do that later on when I get home before I return this. But yeah, super impressed. It's making this job go much quicker for me.
you are about to watch, I highly do not recommend. But I wanted to show it to you to show you how capable these tractors really are. I'm going actually on a double slope. So I'm going up and down about a 20 to 30 degree incline. And at the same time, I have a side-to-side tilt of 15 degrees. There was a couple instances where it just did not feel fun. And there was one point when I was climbing a hill today that I actually thought I was going to flip over backwards. Probably pushed my luck a little bit. Like I said, I don't recommend it, but the tractor is very capable. A little scared a couple of times, but it worked out okay. So take a look at this. So that's it for the video. Few things. I had said in the beginning that I quoted 8 hours to do this job. It took me about 7.5. It turns out that there was a lot more property on the first job than I thought there was. I probably should have asked some more questions. When I showed you the part where I said I'm about halfway done, I was probably less than a quarter done. There was another field the same size on the other side of the house, and it was pretty nasty in there. It took me a long time because I had to be watching for rocks and be watching steady. Unfortunately, because the mower is so long, the brush cutter, I couldn't bring the grapple to put on the front of the tractor, which is usually what I like to lead with when I'm doing brush cutting. So all I actually had was my forks frame. But that did save me several times, and the equipment. You know, I found rocks and stumps and stuff like that with it before I got into it. As I said earlier in the video, I would highly recommend a 60-inch mower, at least on the 2025. I don't know if the 1025 is tall enough or not, but I also will say that I couldn't have used this without my hydraulic top link. Otherwise, I couldn't have got it high enough. And I actually didn't use the up and down on the rock shaft on the 3-point hitch. I only used the angle in and out on the hydraulic top link, and that made this thing work perfect. But I did I did mow a couple of 3-inch trees with it, and it did just fine. The motor had plenty of horsepower. There's plenty of horsepower at the PTO. I was doing some pretty steep slopes, and it never really wavered. So I honestly don't see a reason not to use a 60 other than the size of it. It worked just fine. So I mowed for 7.5 hours today, all in, and really didn't experience any problems. So that was good. Hopefully you learned something. Don't forget to be watching that front grill, the air intake. Like I said and showed you today, that will plug up solid, and when it's hot out, it will overheat the tractor. So I can tell you that when it's 37 out, that the temperature stays right where it's supposed to be. But when it's hot, that's definitely a risk that you take. So if you're doing anything like this, make sure you're getting off and checking that every so often. So that's all for this video. Please like and subscribe. It really does help us continue on with the channel and with our analytics. And I will see you next time. Thank you and have a great day.